Tonight on All Systems Go, we've got Five Nights at Freddy's and Five Nights at Freddy's.
We also have Five Nights at Freddy's. All Systems Go starts right now.
Hello, welcome to All Systems Go, the only show that defends Shark Tales.
And is still waiting for the sequel. I'm Jenica, just premiered.
And I'm Nick, new season. Let's get right into it.
After 8 long years, Telltale is finally back with The Wolf Among Us 2, no relation to the Among Us games. In case you need a refresher on the original series, here's what's up. Fairy tales are real, and the characters live side by side with everyone else in New York City, with the big bad wolf, Sheriff Bigby, keeping things in check. The new season takes place 6 months after the events of the first season. As Bigby, you take on a case that spans the normal world, torn between who to help. The game will launch at some point in 2023, and we can't wait.
Nintendo's latest Direct just aired earlier today, and with it, loads of new information on upcoming titles. Mario Strikers is getting its first sequel since the Wii with Mario Strikers Battle League for the Switch. Nintendo Switch Sports, a spiritual successor to Wii Sports, was also announced, along with the new Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Portal ports. Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings, not Mother 3, were announced for Nintendo Online, and for Mario Kart 8, 48 maps from the previous games will be re-releasing over the next 2 years via DLC. Also new Kirby, but I'll talk about that in a sec.
Everyone's favorite astronaut is officially coming to a theater near you. The movie Lightyear, depicting the fictional story of the astronaut that the toy Buzz Lightyear was based on, just got its release date. The movie received a highly sought-after summer spot with a June 17th premiere, but there was no announcement as to when it will inevitably reach Disney+. However, several Disney movies have made last-minute switches to the streaming service, releases such as the upcoming film Turning Red. So, while we're planning on seeing this movie on the big screen, don't be surprised if you end up watching it in your living room.
Shovel Knight Treasure Trove developers Yacht Club, no, not the ape ones, have announced their newest title, Mina the Hollower. It's keeping to an 8-bit look, but this time more inspired by top-down Game Boy Color games with a modern flair, of course. Stay tuned for more information in the future because this game has only just been announced and there's no release date in place because it's still actively being funded on Kickstarter, but there are estimates it could release in late 2023.
Futurama fans, start defrosting. Hulu announced the animated series will release 20 new episodes. This reboot comes straight from the show's original creators, David Cohen and Matt Groening, and will feature several returning cast members, such as Billy West as Fry and Katie Sagal as Leela. Unfortunately, John DiMaggio will not be returning as Bender the Robot, but we can expect episodes in the near future, 2023.
As Nintendo Direct went on, we got some pretty exciting news for all you Kirby fans watching. The upcoming Switch game Kirby and the Forgotten Land will have some new features that were revealed in the new trailer. The ability called Mouthful Mode involves the beloved character inhaling different objects and turning into whatever he swallows. The trailer showed different options such as car mouth, water balloon mouth, and even vending machine mouth, where Kirby transforms into a vending machine. I can't believe that's a real sentence. Kirby and the Forgotten Land releases next month on March 25th.
Up next, we'll see if Sophia can do the impossible.
And if I can keep taking damage. All systems go. We'll be right back. Sophia has decided to defend the undefendable. Shark Tale. Let's take a look.
Did you guys know that Robert De Niro was in Shark Tale?
Yes.
I was gonna mention Martin Scorsese. I'm not stop. What's wrong with Martin Scorsese in Shark Tale? No, it is not. No, it is not.
Obviously, you have somebody who thinks
No,
Shark Tale is
On the last episode of Season 9 of All Systems Go, I was attacked. As you just saw, I got bashed for liking Shark Tale, even though that was a focal point in my childhood. That's right, I watched Shark Tale as a kid and now I definitely have an extreme bias towards it. As I've gotten older though, I'll admit I've come to the realization that Shark Tale probably shouldn't have been made. As much as I do love the movie, I watch it back and I do see flaws. Despite these flaws, obviously I still enjoy it, so I'm going to explain to all of you, as well as my fellow cast members, why Shark Tale is definitely not one of the best movies of all time, but it is absolutely underrated. I am going to start defending my case by talking about the characters and the people that voice them. Rather, the celebrities that voice them. Yeah, every single character, except for this little shrimp, was voiced by some celebrity instead of a real voice actor. When we had the discussion of voice actors being robbed of gigs, I made it clear that I do know these celebrities are only being casted as a way to drum up attention for the movie before its release. Think Zendaya being in Dune for a total of like 7 minutes. While this is absolutely a huge issue for the community of dedicated voice actors looking for jobs, their casting of each character was good. You have Robert De Niro leading an Italian mob of sharks, and every member of his posse is voiced by somebody on The Sopranos. You have Jack Black as Lenny, and everything Jack Black touches turns to gold, and Angelina Jolie plays a gold digger, and she makes Lola a character you love to hate. These characters are entirely voiced by celebrities to create big old caricatures, but they did a damn good job at it. Next, I want to talk about the music in Shark Tale. Absolutely none of it is original, with the exception of a cover of Car Wash. They're all cherry-picked songs, or they're songs that are covered by relevant R&B and hip-hop artists from the mid-2000s in an effort to match the urban big city vibe that Oscar's storyline portrays. But I'll be real with y'all, that music slaps. Mary J. Blige's cover of Got to Be Real is very fun to jam out to. Three Little Birds by Bob Marley helps to open the film, and you have other chart-topping stars such as Justin Timberlake, Timbaland, Ludacris, the Pussycat Dolls, Christina Aguilera, and Missy Elliott. None of the music is original, but you can't tell me it sucks when you have all of these amazing artists on that soundtrack. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, let's talk about Shark Tale's reception. This movie was in the top 10 grossing films of 2004, along with greats like Spider-Man 2, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of I Don't Really Care That Much, and Shrek 2, a classic. Shark Tale is in the same league as Shrek 2, a work of art. Okay? Shark Tale had a $75 million budget and made back $300 million in pure profit. It was the #1 box office choice for not only its opening weekend, but for the second and third weekend as well. As for the critics, I will concede the reviews were mixed. Rotten Tomatoes did not like it at all,
which is a bunch of wet cow farts in my opinion.
Metacritic gave it a 48 out of 100, and CinemaScore gave it an A-. The main criticism was the film's lack of originality, coupled with a large amount of R-rated in-jokes that could be a bit confusing for Shark Tale's target audience. However, despite this criticism, the majority of individual reviews still said that Shark Tale was worth seeing. There was some controversy surrounding the stereotyping of Italian Americans and their involvement in organized crime, but as an Italian American, I see no qualms. Oh, also, one critic specifically praised Martin Scorsese for his vocal work. So in response to this little quip,
Martin Scorsese is in Fishtail. Yeah. Did I say Fishtail?
Fishtail.
Shark Tale.
My favorite.
suck it. In conclusion, I am perfectly aware that Shark Tale is far from perfect. This movie is barely original, it was casted entirely with celebrities outside of the voice acting field, and it wasn't given the highest rating by critics. But despite all of this, it is a movie worth loving and laughing at. It was a movie made for children in 2004, and as someone who is technically a child in 2004, I love it. So, to close my statements, to close my arguments, I will let former last semester me send us out.
Shark Tale is underrated, okay? I'm not saying
Wait till
it's
she
good,
discovers Finding
but it's
Nemo.
underrated.
Nick took a whole lot of damage for this next video. Let's see it.
Do you ever wonder what happens when you'll die? Video games are all about overcoming challenges, whether that be killing God or escaping the clutches of a crippling mortgage. And since the beginning of video games, specifically in the action-adventure genre, the main challenge is to avoid dying. And in order to avoid dying, you can't take too much... The first video game with a visible health bar or vitality was the 1984 computer game Who Cares? It's been around forever and is pretty much never going to go away. Taking damage in video games is a constant, but it's handled differently in a multitude of ways. You got the health counter, probably the most overt way of displaying damage. You get hit, number goes down. It's pretty simple. There's the health bar, which is more of like a suggestion of how much health you have left rather than a concrete value. And if you want to get even more simple, we have the red screen. It's pretty vague, but it's usually only used in games with like pretty simple combat, so it kind of makes sense. Now those are the most basic, but games use all kinds of funny ways to explain how your character takes damage. And it isn't always health. Like if your character's a robot, it's energy. And like in Sekiro, you have a health bar, but your posture bar is the one you're looking at 90% of the time. It doesn't even have to be health at all. Sometimes the amount of hits you can take just depends on if you're holding a certain item like the mushroom in Mario or rings in Sonic. And then there's Smash, which has a health counter, but it's a percentage that goes up, which makes you launch farther off screen. But no matter how you take damage, the player has to know when they took damage, which is why sound design is really important for stuff like that, okay? In Dark Souls, the hit sound is very moist, erotic even. We got the classic oof, and we can't forget... After you take damage, you'll get a couple of invincibility frames, which lets you kind of get your bearings and, get a sec to regroup and avoid any unfair damage. It's not in every game, but it's most common in 2D platformers because there aren't many places to hide or dodge on like a 2D plane. In pretty much every game, damage is damage, no matter where you got hit. But in Fallout, your body parts take individual damage. So like if your leg takes too much damage, you'll walk with a limp, or if it's your arm, your aim will be worse. If you get too much damage to your head, your vision will get all like woozy. And it's that extra bit of realism we all appreciate in a video game, right? Realism? Hey, isn't it funny how like you'll tank like 60 bullets in game, but then one shot in a cutscene like totally puts you out of commission? So like in The Last of Us, minus spoilers, Joel gets stabbed and is like on the brink of death. But in game, he gets shot all the time, and as long as he just bandages up his left forearm, everything's okie dokie. In Star Wars, a single lightsaber slice kills anyone. But in the games, it's like a glowy baseball bat. You gotta like whack people over and over until they actually die. Throughout all of Uncharted 2, you can get shot so many times and regen health, no problem. But, ooh, one bullet wound in a cutscene and suddenly Nathan's not feeling too good. Actually, this one's okay. Because canonically, Drake never gets shot in-game. His health is actually his luck running out, and after you get too many near misses, he gets shot for real and dies. I don't know, personally, I think that's really cool. I think that's neat. But you know what isn't cool? Zombie games where you'll get scratched a bit like multiple times and just be fine, like you don't get infected. And no, Leon, you can't just eat a plant and be okay. A zombie just ripped out your larynx. Go to the hospital. Oh wait, you can't because it's the apocalypse. But what happens when you take too much damage and you actually die? Well, usually you'll just revert back to a checkpoint and the game acts like it never happened. But some games implement it into the lore itself, like Dark Souls. You respawn because you're undead, so you can't truly die. And also, okay, I'll shut up about Dark Souls, I get it. Deathloop's whole plot revolves around the main character dying over and over again. That is the story. It's in the name Deathloop. And Halo's multiplayer, yes, the multiplayer actually has lore, is supposedly a simulation for the Spartans, like for combat, which doesn't completely make sense, but I guess it's an explanation at all, which is cool. Wait, what happens when I die? Hell, really?
Join Sophia as the cast explains what in the world Five Nights at Freddy's is. All Systems Go will be right back.
This week on All Systems Go, we are introducing a brand new segment that I like to call ASG For Dummies. What you are about to witness is a crash course on some trademark ASG topics that I know absolutely nothing about. Today we are talking about Five Nights at Freddy's, and I'm going to start with my first lesson on a TikTok trend that happened, like last month?
It's been happening.
All I know is it's FNAF related, and I know nothing about it.
Right, so
Go.
this comes from the newest Five Nights at Freddy's game, Security Breach. It features Vanessa the security guard and Glamrock Freddy. Now Vanessa looks at him, she says, "Freddy, you're supposed to be on lockdown." And he says, Vanessa, I'm a material girl. Now, that
Yes.
comes from that new song, Material Girl,
Right.
based off of Madonna's Material Girl song.
It's a hit.
I don't know who sings it, but that's also a TikTok
don't-
trend, so they just mashed them together. That's not the only audio for that, though, because
Right.
they do substitute other things for Freddy to say
Right.
with other TikTok trends.
Correct.
So it's just a big thing. Make Freddy say the most absurd things he can, and it's a lot of har.
Fun. Okay, so just going back on what I have down is from the newest game Security Breach. The girl's Vanessa, and she's a security guard, and then Glam Rock Freddy. I will ask a question about him in a minute. It's a mashup of two separate TikTok trends, and it'll substitute other trends in for Freddy to say.
Yes.
What in the world is Glam Rock Freddy?
So he's one of the newer animatronics from Security Breach, and he's like David Bowie-ified from the other
He's
games.
yassified?
He's yassified, yes.
Got
he
it.
is yassified.
Jenica's giving me a little hand movement. Can we get some footage of them doing a little hand movement? Look.
Yeah.
Look at them go.
He's very
He's,
much.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
Got it. Okay. So that is covered. I understand it now. The next thing I need to hear is from Jenica. I've been told I'm hearing like a true crime case.
You are indeed. So I'm here to inform you as to what FNAF is actually like, where FNAF came from. Since we're talking about the newest stuff with FNAF, I would deep dive back into the classics, why FNAF was made, what it was based on. It was actually based on a true, real-life, very sad story. This isn't jokes. Jokes have left the room today for a little bit.
Okay.
In December 1993 in Aurora, Colorado, around 10 p.m., a birthday party had run late at a Chuck E. Cheese, leaving the manager and 4 employees to stay after and, shut down. Little did they know there was a 5th person also in the building at the time. An employee who had been fired 5 months prior was hiding in the bathroom.
Okay.
Around
Okay,
10:05, he came out of the bathroom, pulled out a handgun, and proceeded to shoot everyone in the building before leaving out the back, having stolen everything that was in the safe.
Huh?
Yes.
They did what?
Yeah.
You don't need. Okay. Okay.
I warned you, it's not a fun story.
Yeah. Okay. Death. What's
yeah.
next?
4 the manager and 3 of the employees died, leaving the 1 employee working in the kitchen. He got shot in the jaw, but he played dead, so he actually survived, and he was instrumental in the case against the perpetrator when it went to court. He was, first of all, I want you to know, he was caught very quickly due to the security cameras. Hint, hint, wink, wink, that's a big part of the game.
Okay. So I'm just going to go right here. Just cap in here because this is an entry-level exam. I believe that's intermediate level FNAF. So 1993, Colorado, Chuck E. Cheese, 5 people were closing. Another person that was fired was hiding in the bathroom. Bad things happened, and then 1 person survived. Happy ending. Yeah.
Not
So
really.
from here, I need a rapid-fire list of every single animatronic in all of the games. Go.
Hit all the important ones. Okay.
But don't explain them. Just say the names.
Okay, so in the originals, you have Freddy, Foxy, Chica, and Bonnie, all haunted. Also, Golden Freddy, who are all haunted by 5 kids. Golden Freddy is different because he's from a different line of animatronics. In the second game, they introduced toy animatronics to the first 4, with Foxy's counterpart being Mangle because a bunch of kids messed with them and just started like destroying him, and they just like threw him back in there because like whatever. There's also the puppet, which is the reason why all the other animatronics are haunted, and Balloon Boy. Nobody likes Balloon Boy. Let's keep it moving. 3 introduces Springtrap, which is like has the soul of the killer in it. And the Phantom animatronics. Their ghosts or hallucinations. Nobody knows and nobody cares because they never get brought back.
All right.
4 and Nightmare animatronics. If they're nightmares, that's pretty obvious. Sister Location, aka 5, has the Funtime animatronics that were made to kill children by the killer, and they're haunted by the killer's daughter.
Oh God, I lost track.
6
Oh
has
no.
the Rockstar animatronics and like a ton of new ones. I'm talking about Smash Bros. Roster and new ones.
I'm getting overstimulated. We need to cap it. Freddy, Foxy, Chica, Bonnie, Glam Rock Freddy,
Shamrock.
Mangle, Puppet, Balloon Boy, Phantoms, Nightmares. That's all I wrote down. Am I still gonna pass the test?
No.
Great. And
Easy
last but not least, in about 45 seconds or less, What is the bite of 87?
Okay, so the bite of 87 is basically where Foxy or Mangle, it's not really confirmed who, basically bit down on the frontal lobe of what could have been a child or an adult. We don't exactly know, but they apparently were still alive after that happened.
Okay.
So, and basically that's heavily talked about in the FNAF lore. Don't mistake that with the bite of 83 though, because that happened at Fredbear's Family Diner, and that was Fredbear, basically, who we refer to as Golden Freddy, and that was an entirely different person. But just don't get those two messed up, otherwise you're gonna fail this test. You're gonna fail this test.
Yeah, Matt Pat's gonna come for you.
Matt Pat's gonna come for me?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was
So,
co-son.
To recap, this is a lot of information. So, the TikTok trend is from the Security Breach game. It's basically just glam rock Freddy being a material girl. The actual origins of the game come from a very sad case in the Colorado Chuck E. Cheese. There's Freddy, Foxy, Chica, Bonnie, Glamrock Freddy, and a whole bunch of other ones that I barely got any information on because I was... And then the bite of 87 was either Foxy or Mangle that bit down the frontal lobe of somebody and they actually survived. There's also the bite of 1983 from Fredbear, who's a different person. And then I wrote down, don't confuse them, with underlines under it. Am I going to pass the test?
With this, like a 60.
A 60%? B plus?
I believe in you.
C's get degrees, baby.
I'd say C minus.
C's get degrees.
My major doesn't.
Stay in school, kids.
FNAF school.
So, unfortunately, this is all the time that we have to learn about FNAF. I actually have learned a lot. This was a very good session we had here today. Good job, everybody. Coming up, we have a super special interview from Nikki, and we have a game from her too, so don't go anywhere.
Nikki had the opportunity to interview a pretty cool dude who makes some pretty cool things. Let's check it out.
Recently, I got the awesome chance to speak with an artist who makes some rad statues out of wire. Let's hear what he has to say.
My name's Kevis Mitchell. I'm a wire artist. The name of my company is Twisted Wire Art, and our catchphrase is Stay Twisted. I generally make characters out of 22 gauge copper wire. I've been doing this since I was a little kid, and I've always been an artist of one sort or another. I'm continually working on my craft, and I like making characters from sports characters, sci-fi, comic book characters, movie characters, literally anything that I see that inspires me, I can create in wire. I started doing comic book conventions and art shows and craft shows, and I've done a few festivals, and I've had a couple of one-man shows. The way that I started with wire art, I've always liked to draw and color. My mom and my family, we went to church a lot, so I was a huge G.I. Joe fan, so I would play with Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, all the characters from there, and I would stick them in my pockets and take them to church and play with them. My mom would always, take the characters from me, put them in her purse, and I couldn't play. So this particular time, I found a piece of wire, and it was like a little wire string about a foot long. Stuck it in my pocket, and my mom did her morning pat down to see if I had anything on me, and she didn't feel the wire. So I made a stick man in church, and I was like, man, this is cool. I can make it do whatever I want. Later on, I found we lived near a business office that was redoing their phone systems, and during that time, this was many years ago, they would throw the wire away near the dumpster site. And I'm like, oh wow, look at that. That's that same stuff I was playing with. I drug this wire a quarter of a mile home, and it was probably about, I'll say 60 to 70 pounds of wire that was being thrown away. And that wire, it basically fueled me for 3 years. I would sit in my room for hours and just create little characters to play with. And of course, at that time, they didn't look anything like what people would see on TV or movies. But to me, with my imagination, it looked exactly like the characters. So I did this throughout my entire middle school, elementary, high school years. I joined the Marine Corps, and while in the Marine Corps, I carried a bag of wire with me everywhere I went, whenever we were going on deployments. And I would sit back and just, while we were flying, I would just create little characters. I went on to be told by my cousin from Florida that I should look into comic book conventions. I happen to have a couple of samples here. Before, I would take a single piece of wire and make a stick man. And then I would build that stick man out to make the body and all the other characteristics. Over time, I found that that's inefficient. So I started buying a thicker gauge wire. So now I use 18 gauge wire to build a frame of the character. And once I get the frame of the character built, then I'll cover it with the 22 gauge wire, which you see here in silver. Another part of this is the process of creating the wire art is not a fast process. Case in point with this one, this is a Roman soldier that I created in my smaller scale. The red embellishments on the side, and of course the belt. And I added a eagle on the belt. You can see it. And I even made the skirt. So these are all individually weaved pieces. It's like this character probably took me about 8 hours to finish. And usually I'm sitting at home, I'll have the TV on or be with the family. I'll have my bag of wire next to me and I'll just start twisting the character and just work on it while I'm there. So I don't have to go and exclude myself from my family. I can still create and be around them. So this is my astronaut. The detail of this character is, what I really like, because I wanted to make an astronaut. And then there's the next level up from this is when I go crazy. And this is what I call going crazy. So I'm sure you guys have heard of Raid Shadow Legends. So this is one of my favorite characters from Raid Shadow Legends. I absolutely love this character. I built him up, and I was so inspired after I finally got him in the game. I wanted to create my own.
Where can people find you and your work?
Well, if you go to www.twistedwire.us, that's my website. You can look at the site or order anything on there. If there's something that you want, just message me. I mean, it doesn't matter what you want. Just tell me if you can show me a picture, I'll make the picture. Send me an email at twistedwireart@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook, twistedwireart21. And on Instagram, twistedwireart21. My YouTube channel, Stay Twisted, at youtube.com. So all of those means you can get in touch with me. The easiest one will probably be to just send me a note, a message from my website. I have a regular full-time job, so this is my passion. It doesn't feed me, but it feeds me. It feeds my need to create. And I would just say, guys, if you want something ever created, if you have a favorite character or a favorite movie or something iconic that you can't find anywhere, give me a call or email or Facebook or a message or something, and I'll create that for you, and you can have that made in wire, and it'll be the only one made in the world.
So everybody, that's Kivas Mitchell. Please check out his website. If not for yourself, then maybe you have a friend who'd be interested or would like one as a present. He's a super cool guy who does great work and deserves more exposure. I know I have my own collection that I plan to add more to. Finally, you should check out the full uncut interview when it goes up on the ASG website, because there's a lot of great conversation that you didn't get to see here. Thanks for tuning in, and stay twisted.
Up next, we'll join Nikki as she tests the cast's pop culture knowledge that you'd think we'd be qualified for. All systems go. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to All Systems Go. We're going to be trying something new and playing something that we like to call the correction game. Now, we have our 4 lovely contestants over here, Seth, Maddy, Brody, and Jenny. And next to me is Sophia, who will be keeping score, and like Vanna White, will be saying absolutely nothing for the sake of authenticity. So the rules of this game are pretty simple. I have a stack of statements about various fictional media that we all know and love. Movies, TV shows, video games, things like that. All of these statements have something in them that is incorrect. It is our contestants' job to find what is incorrect and correct me. They can interrupt what I'm saying at any time, because what I am saying is not as important as the fact that they are correct and they know it. I may ask you to be more specific, but feel free to take your most wild guess, because you might stumble upon the right thing, and it also might be funny. Are we ready to start, my friends? Yes. All right, our first question is about The Legend of Zelda. Link must find and use a variety of items in all of his quests against evil. Some items have appeared in so many games that they have become staples of the series, including the spinner, the hook shot, the bow, and the boomerang. I think that was just Seth. Did anyone else put their hand down? I felt like I heard 2 bumps. I think that was pretty simultaneous.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it to you on this one.
Okay.
I've never played a Zelda game. Spinner.
What about the spinner?
It's not real. Fake news.
That is not correct. The spinner is in a Zelda game. Maddy.
The boomerang.
No, the boomerang is a very common item. Any guesses?
I'm gonna
Jen.
guess that the spinner isn't in all of the Zelda games.
Close enough. I'll give you the point.
Yay!
The spinner is not a staple of the series because it is only in one game, Twilight Princess. Seth, you were very close with that.
It was
but
almost fake
your
news.
specifics were just not quite right. That is 1 point for Jenny. Up next is a question about the 1987 film The Princess Bride, my personal favorite movie. Princess Buttercup is kidnapped early in the movie by 3 individuals. Fezzik, a man of incredible size and strength. Inigo Yes?
Fezzik is the smart one. He's the sarcastic one. That's not right.
Incorrect. No.
Incorrect!
Fezzik, a man of incredible size and strength. Inigo Montoya, who trained in swordplay for years to avenge his father's murder. And the Dread Pirate Roberts, who is no...
The Dread Pirate Roberts does not kidnap her.
That is correct. The third character, who has no real skills but is paying the other 2 to help him, is Vicini. The Dread Pirate Roberts is in the movie but is a wildly different character. Another point for Jenny. This next one's about Pokemon. There are approximately 900 Pokemon across the entire collective Pokedex, but it wasn't always that way. The original Red and Blue games had only 150 Pokemon. Yes, Seth?
It's 151. You're forgetting Mew.
Well, technically, this is kind of a trick question because Mew was added later in an event. So originally was not in Red and Blue, but that is fun trivia. Only had 150 Pokemon, including Golbat, Parasect, Blissey, and Slowbro. Seth?
Blissey is a Generation 2 Pokemon.
Fully correct. Chansey is in Generation 1, and Blissey is the evolution of that is in Generation 2. This next one's about SpongeBob SquarePants. Squidward Tentacles, an employee of the Krusty Krab and clarinet player, is not normally fond of his neighbors, Patrick, who lives under a rock, and SpongeBob, who lives in a pineapple. Since they both live alone, the 2 frequently meet for antics that usually... who was that first? Did you notice? I did not notice who did that first.
You can go first.
No, you can go.
All right. SpongeBob lives with Gary.
Correct. Fully correct. Another point for Jenny. SpongeBob lives with his pet snail, Gary. We're trying to speed this up. These are some slightly harder questions. This first one's next one rather, is about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Avengers was founded by Nick Fury to gather...
Wait, never mind. I'm sorry. I'm getting too excited. I'm getting too excited. Continue.
It's okay. A little fast on the draw there. The Avengers was founded by Nick Fury to gather extraordinary individuals to protect the planet. Over the course of its history, it gathered a slew of members to the team at different times, including Ant-Man, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, Loki, and Hawkeye. I believe that was Brody, unless I was mistaken.
Loki was never officially an Avenger.
Fully correct. He helped Thor, but he never really helped the Avengers. And Quicksilver, I don't think was officially an Avenger, but he did help them. So that is close enough in my book. Point for Brody. This next one's about Dungeons and Dragons. In 5th edition, there are 6 main stats to track your character's skills, called ability scores. There's strength, dexterity, constitution, knowledge, wisdom, Seth.
Knowledge is not one of the stats.
Correct. Knowledge was the name for the stat for book smarts in previous editions, but in 5th edition it's called intelligence. People who play multiple editions often get them mixed up. Dragon Ball Z is our next topic. Dragon Ball Z can get a little confusing as there have been so many characters throughout the series. For example, Goku is the main character, but is different from Gohan and Goten, who are all different from Gotenks, who is the fusion form of Gohan and Trunks. Brody.
Fusion of Goten and Trunks.
That is correct. Gotenks is the fusion of Goten and Trunks, not Gohan and Trunks. This might be the last one we have time for. This next one's about Halo, the video game series. The vehicles in Halo follow particular naming conventions. Vehicles used by humans are named after animals, some names being warthogs, grizzlies, and hippos, while vehicles... Yes?
There was never a vehicle in Halo called a hippo.
That is fully correct. There are some others I have listed down here that are ghosts, revenants, and krakens. And revenants and krakens are more obscure, but they did appear in one game each. Let's do one last quick question because we are at a tie at the moment between Brody and Jenny. So let's actually, just because it's a tie between you two, let's make it just you two answering this question. This last one's about Phineas and Ferb. The rivalry between Perry the Platypus and Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz is quite famous. Perry, whose iconic voice clip is from Matthew Lillard, is an agent of, yes?
D. Bradley Baker.
Wow, I'm surprised you knew that. That is totally correct. It was D. Bradley Baker, who is mostly known for miscellaneous roles in shows like SpongeBob, Family Guy, Clone Wars, a lot of different things. That, I believe, leaves Brody as our winner. You do not get a prize, only the satisfaction of being the most correct person in the room.
I'll take it.
That is all the time we have for our game. For the last part of our show, Kayla is going to make sure we're ready to duel by giving us her thoughts on the new Yu-Gi-Oh game.
If you're familiar with Pokemon and trading card games of the like, you probably have heard of Yu-Gi-Oh! Growing up, I watched my dad play it at the kitchen table with his buddies. No idea how it worked, or what it was, really. I just knew he played it. Then, Master Duel came out. My friends were getting into it, and I said I might as well come along for the ride. Please note, everything I am about to say comes from someone who is trying to learn how Yu-Gi-Oh! Works based solely on Master Duel, and how well it can teach you how to play. I present to you Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel from an outsider's perspective. The tutorial shows you the absolute basics. I felt like I understood it vaguely. When I opened this game, I said, oh, it's Hearthstone! No, it's not. Not at all. It is entirely different, and it took a while to program my brain to not play it like Hearthstone. The farther you get into the solo missions and tutorials, the more they just throw at you. What in God's name is a pendulum card? Why? Just why? Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans, you have a much bigger attention span than I do. I do not know how you read the paragraphs on all these cards and somehow remember them. Props to you guys. Of course, it can't be a trading card game without a gacha system. Now, the gacha system in this game is interesting to say the least. You have 3 packs to choose from, and when you get a super or ultra rare card, you unlock the pack that card came from. But only for 24 hours. Say you want to do a Prank Kids deck. Yes, you can pull from the pack that has every card in the game, or you can unlock the Prank Kids pack and use it for 24 hours to try to build that deck. This starts the fear of missing out because you only have 24 hours to pull these cards, leaving you with 2 options. You play the solo missions endlessly and win until you get enough gems, or buy the currency with your own money. I have not spent a single penny on this game, and I have no intention to. Lastly, I have to mention the online dueling. I have not touched it because, quite frankly, I don't understand this game well enough to beat a real person at it. I have watched my friends duel online, and I've come to the conclusion, unless you're using the most meta deck with the best cards in the game, you should not try. Now, even though I don't exactly understand this game, it doesn't mean I don't have fun. When I finally put down a card and do some actual damage, or I manage to win against a bot, I go absolutely insane. It's a really fun game, even when you have no thoughts and your head is empty.
That's our show for tonight. Be sure to check out all of our social media.
And don't forget to come back next week at 9 for an all-new episode of All Systems Go.
I'm Jenica Jenick.
And I'm Nick Thaman. All Systems Go, signing off.
Signing off.
Ooh. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See you next week.
At 9.